Hey everybody, I'm Jeannie and welcome to my channel. I'm making costumes for a local kids theater and one of the choruses needs 30 skirts. To do them very quickly and to have the benefit of them fitting other children that are different sizes for the following show, we're going to do a flat front in the front, but in the back put in an elastic waist. So sometimes your fabric is only going to be 45 inches wide. With the pattern that we're using, when we place it on the fold, it extends off the edge of our fabric. So instead of having our fabric folded with the salvage edges together this direction, we're going to open it up, still having our salvage edge or the factory edge of the fabric folded together. I'm using cotton and it's a tad sticky. I cannot get it to lay flat. Shake it some more, smooth it out. It doesn't seem to matter. It just won't behave. Come on. That's better. Make sure that your fabric is nice and smooth and that your salvage edges or the factory edge of the fabric are lined up. After you have your fabric all smoothed out, it's time to lay your pattern pieces. This is the center front and it says that it needs to be placed on the fold. For this pattern, the back, the grain line needs to be parallel to the salvage edge of the fabric. It won't fit in this direction, but all we have to do is flip it over, and then our line that states it needs to be parallel to the salvage edge is lined up perfectly, making sure that we still have 2 layers of fabric all the way down. This is our waistband, and it's going to be placed on the fold also. Make sure when you're pinning on that center fold that the line is nice and straight on the fold line. Ta-da! Now we're going to do our center back seam. So you can pin it all the way down to keep it lined up, or if you're comfortable, you can just line up at the top, make sure to lock off your stitch, and do a 5/8 inch seam all the way down. Now that we have our back together, we're going to place our front piece right sides together. So the right side is the side that everyone's going to see when you're wearing it. Match up one of the side seams. And so a 5/8 inch seam all the way down. If you want to, you can pin this. I'm not going to because the cotton really does stay put for me. Make sure you continue to fix your edges if you're not pinning to keep it all nice and neat. Now we're ready to put on our waistband. If your waistband's folded in half, you know where the center is. I'm going to go ahead and lay that on that side seam we just did with the right sides together and fold up the lower end of the waistband. We're going to match that all the way to the edge. Make sure that it's not pulling. Mine was pulling a little bit. When I flipped it up, it wasn't quite center at the bottom. Make sure when you're pinning you get all 3 layers, both layers of the waistband and the top edge of the skirt. When you're all done with that side, go back to the middle and work your way towards the other end. Now we're ready to sew on our waistband. I'm just going to leave my pins in and carefully sew over the top of them. Don't forget to lock off your stitch. Be careful not to let the skirt get tucked up underneath this seam while you're sewing, or you'll have to rip it out and start again. You're going to want to take your time on this. The child we're making this for has a 29-inch waist. The front section is 19 inches. So I'm going to put in a 10-inch piece of elastic because that's how much I want the back sucked in. I'm going to put a safety pin through one end of the elastic and close it. I'm going to work this piece of elastic through the casing that we've just made. Sticking the safety pin in first, gathering fabric up onto the safety pin with my left hand, and then sliding the fabric over with my right. Hold on to the safety pin with your left hand as you pull the fabric back with your right hand. Make sure that the tail ends at that side seam. That's our destination. So as you're guiding the elastic through, you're going to want to pay very close attention to how far that tail has made it inside the casing. If you go past the side seam, you're going to have to start again. Checking to see where the tail is. I still have a little ways to go. Only about 4 inches. So being very careful not to pull it too far. Once I get it to the side seam, I'm going to do just an overlock stitch real quick. Just forward, reverse, and forward. So the elastic won't be able to continue to pull through. Now that the elastic is secured at the side seam, I'm going to continue working the pin over to the other end. Now that we have it through, I'm going to remove the safety pin and use a straight pin to hold it so it can't suck itself back into the waistband. If that happens, it's almost impossible to get it back out. Now I'm going to take right sides together and I'm going to sew that final side seam. You can pin it if you want to, I'm going to just put a pin through the elastic and the 2 layers of the waistband to start, but the rest I'm just going to match up as I go along. So now that the side seams are finished and the waistband is on, the skirt is done except for the hem. I'm just going to put in a quick rolled hem. So you're going to start by rolling it under 1/4 of an inch and then roll it in 1/4 of an inch again. Place it under the presser foot so it can't get away. Lock it off. And then slowly 1/4 of an inch, roll it 1/4 of an inch, and sew on the edge to lock in your roll. Continue all the way around. And it's done. Now she can model it. It will be great for the show. Nice and flat in the front, gathered up in the back so it fits multiple waist sizes. Hey babe, I'm done.